This is Mark over at the Lazy Brook Farm. Just a tip for you if you're ever using your Yanmar and it seems to shut off entirely, no power, doesn't work at all. You've got one of these adjustable seats here. Something to check is to make sure the wire isn't pinched. It'll blow the 10 amp fuse on the engine. So here, let me show you what I've got. So if you raise the seat up and you look, you can see that one of the wires has been pinched there. There's a closer look of what I'm talking about. As you can see, it is definitely not in good shape there, and it's been grounding against the metal right back here, and that's what's caused it to pinch, and that's what caused the 10 amp fuse to blow. So I've depinned the connector, pulled the wire out of the sheathing, back to the spot down here that it's split on. I did try to uncrimp the connector. I've had luck in the past, but no dice today. But anyway, I will feed this heat shrink tubing over down to the split and heat shrink that in place. This is the kind of heat shrink that's got the adhesive, so it's marine grade, can handle water, all that, and definitely what I prefer. So I will shrink that down and then figure out how I'm gonna put this connector back on, and I prefer that versus cutting the cable and soldering and heat shrinking, but I might just end up soldering this end. So here we go. I'll get that heat shrink in place, plenty of overlap on both sides, and shrink that down. I don't know if you can see it there, but the nice part about the heat shrink with the glue inside, it's basically hot glue, so you can see it just a tiny bit gushing out the side, and that'll keep everything nice and watertight for the future so that wire won't corrode. Now we can feed these back into the connector. The little tab on the back will line up to the outside of the connector. There we go, that's the right side. You can hear the little click, and there we go. All plugged in again. Okay, so now I just feed this up back through the hole it originally came through. Plug it in here. And there we go. And I'll just connect it to the little wire tie, reusable wire tie that's roughly right under there. Wire just goes in, and you click it back closed. And there you go. Now to just add a zip tie to this little guide here to keep it from getting caught in the locking mechanism down here. Before, when I first found the problem, the zip tie was actually down here, causing it to crimp in that section and causing the issue. So I'll be putting the zip tie up a bit higher, making sure it's good and tight in that location. And also, I believe the additional heat shrink that you have there will help to keep the cable a little bit more tight and less likely to get jammed in some of these awkward places. So just trim back the excess there. And there we go. The very last thing to do is replace that pesky 10 amp engine fuse. Pull the cover off here. And Yanmar does include a handy set of fuse pullers. The engine fuse is this one right here on the top right. Pull that off, see if we can focus. I don't know if you can tell, but that is blown, a little burnt in the top right section of that inner fuse. But I've got a replacement right here. So just put that back in there. Put your little fuse puller away. Cover back on. And you're good to go.